Hi, my name is Peggy, and this is my channel, Bespoke Ability Sewing. Today I am going to share with you my Make 4 of my Make 9 2024. But before we get into that, I want to thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll keep coming back. So, I've been here the last 3 Tuesdays with my garment reveals from my 2024, and today I'm coming back with my 4th one. This is the first time I have used in my Make 9 a pattern that is new to me. So this week I made a dress. I made the Tustin dress by Itch to Stitch Patterns, and I'll put up a photograph of the pattern. And it's a great pattern. I've been wanting to make it for quite a while, and I don't know what has stopped me from doing it, except I think it might be the front piece. It's big, it's oddly shaped, and the thought of taping it together just didn't appeal to me. But it's all done now, and sewed up like a dream. You just have to make sure to mark various things on the pattern pieces, and sewed up very easily. So for this I used a purple, black, and white knit. It's was called a boucle double knit that I bought from Vogue Fabrics online I think about 10 years ago. And I've always really liked this fabric, but haven't really known what to do with it. Well, I used quite a bit for this dress, but I still have quite a bit left over, so I'll probably make a Blackwood cardigan for my daughter. And I don't know if I'll have more after that or not, but I am considering this a win for my Make 9, because even though I haven't used up all of the fabric, I have done something with it, and that's a win to me. So this dress, you can tell from the photograph of the pattern that it hits Kenneth, the designer, above her knees, and that's not something that I want. I don't have anything against knees. It's just I prefer to have them covered. And I particularly like when I sit down that my skirt doesn't ride up my legs, and it's less likely to if my knees are covered. So I knew I was going to need to add some length. Excuse me, I want to sneeze. I knew I was going to need to add some length, and because I always do anyway, but I wanted to add even more because I wanted to make sure it was long enough. What I was aiming for was to make it long enough to go over the tops of my black suede boots, because I thought this fabric would be great as a dress to wear now with my boots. And I didn't quite achieve that. I did add 7 inches in length, but it just brushes the tops of my boots, and so it kind of gets caught as I'm wearing it and walking. So I'm not going to wear it with my boots. But if I make it again, I will add a little more length. I also added length to the bodice, and I added length to the sleeves. And it calls for a neckband, and I chose to do a facing. So I just traced that out from the pattern pieces, interfaced it with black knit fusible interfacing, and finished it on my serger. Then for sewing, I did a combination of my sewing machine and my serger as per the directions for the pattern. And I used my serger on everything except when I sewed together the facing, I used my sewing machine. When I sewed the facing onto the neckline, I also used my sewing machine. And when I constructed the tie belt and waist seam, there's like half of a waist seam that creates and the dart. All those things I did on the sewing machine, but everything else was done on the serger. It came together easily. Everything made sense. Everything went together well. I did it in an evening. Let me think. Oh, one thing to note, the front piece, as I've shown you in a photograph, is sort of odd looking. It makes sense if you think about it, but it's just weird looking. But to create the front seam, you combine part of the bodice to part of you fold the tie in half, and then, anyway, you kind of manipulate it, and you have to meet a couple dots at the end of a couple triangles. And so those dots are really important. And the inside of my fabric, I guess it's bonded to like a black knit. So it's black on the inside. And so I didn't have any friction pens that I could use that I would be able to see. So I used chalk to mark these dots. But then I read the instructions, and I was supposed to put two 2-inch squares of fusible interfacing over the dots just to strengthen those areas, because you're going to cut into that area. So I figured, well, with my interfacing, I might not be able to see my chalk. I probably wouldn't. So I decided to do French tacks on those two places, which I probably would have done even if it had had a white background, because the heat of putting on the interfacing would have taken away the friction pen. But it wasn't a big deal, and it came together really well. So it's basically like making a big t-shirt. Now, as far as sizing, now I don't know if all itch to stitch patterns have a full bust piece or not, but this one does, and I used it. I'm usually a 10 in itch to stitch patterns, but I chose to go up to a 12 for this one, which might have been a mistake. I just don't like anything too tight, and particularly in a dress, like on my bottom and stuff, I just don't want it too snug. Figuring I can always take a pattern down, but it's harder to increase the size. So I used the 12 with the full bust piece, and it's fine. I thought I might need to lower the bust darts because my bust is low, but I didn't, and it's fine. Will I make this again? I don't know. I mean, I like the dress and it's very comfortable. I'm just not sure it's really me. For one thing, I don't wear dresses that much anymore. They don't really suit my lifestyle. But this is a nice dress. I'm just not sure that it's really for me. I might cut it down and make it into a top. That's something I would definitely wear. But I'm glad I made it. And I've used this fabric, so that's great. Now, I did stitch in the ditch, by the way, the facings at the shoulder seams, and I hand sewed the hems of both the sleeves and the dress. Just personal preference. I could have used my cover stitch, but I didn't want to. Trying to think, let's see. I think that's about it. It is a good pattern. I just don't know that it's really for me. But I'm not ruling out making it again or making it as a top. And hopefully I will have put up photos by now. Now, I do intend to be back next Tuesday with my Make 5 of my Make 9. And I think I know what it's going to be. I think it's the red silk. So I'm excited to sew that up. And then I should also be back on Friday with the Friday sews. I'm planning to. I have some new makes and I would like to show you. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. Let me know what you think of this dress. I'm not wild about it, and I think it sort of emphasizes my low bust. But it's comfortable, and I do like the fabric. At any rate, Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.